Because I'm sure we'll use all of this garbage.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna be like,
how do we start this? Welcome to DM Workshop. The point of this show is to teach you how to go from being a player to being a DM. This is not for people who are just starting. This is for people who've been playing for a while and really want to try out being a DM. And the first thing we're going to go over, the first thing you need to know to be a DM is how to build an encounter. We should cover that these are for the rule system Pathfinder. It's a die 20 system. We will talk about 3.5 stuff, but generally speaking, we're talking about Pathfinder. Before we do that, why don't we basically introduce ourselves?
Hi, I'm Dan. I'm a DM in training. I've played through one encounter. You're starting up this.
But you've played, yeah, one campaign. You played through plenty of encounters.
Yeah,
at this point. I've only played once.
Your turn.
And I'm Andrew Moon. I'm a player for Dungeons & Dragons. I've been playing for about 8 to 9 months, I think. Yeah, and about 3 different or so campaigns. It's been pretty fun.
My name is Michael Gilmore. I've been DMing for 1 to 2 years now, but I've played with the rules a lot to a point where I think I have a pretty good understanding of them. I think we've got a grasp to a point where I can explain them pretty well and hopefully teach them to you in a way that you can understand and go from there. Basically, if you want to follow along, you can either go to PFSRD or go here and it's on page 397, how to build an encounter.
Open your books, children, to 397.
The first thing you gotta do to build your encounter, which is your game for the night. And to do that, you gotta kind of do it in a way that you won't kill the players or the players won't walk all over you. So you have to set the right difficulty, and hopefully this should allow you to do that. And the first step into finding the correct difficulty is to find the average party level, which is to think of the whole party as a group and to get kind of one number that you can use for difficulty for that. And to do that, you have to account for all the players' levels, add them all together, and then average them by how many players there are. You get one number. That's the principle. Average their party level, you get one number. That number is basically your normal difficulty in a video game sense. You can make that easier by subtracting 1 from that number, or make it harder by adding 1, and you can, -2, +2. You get your spread there. The second step is determining CR, and it's getting, CR means challenge rating. This is really the core of getting how difficult it is. You can kind of use the APL, the number you've just gathered, the average party level, to figure out that CR. And you go to the chart and you go down the part that says CR and you find the number that you got from the average party level. For us, I think the math we just did, it was 3. And you find 3. And your total experience, now this is the experience that you'll use to buy things with. It's sort of your allowance. That is listed next to it in the total experience section. And for 3, that's 800. So you've got 800 points to spend. Now that you have 800, you can count $800, 800 points that you can spend on things. From here on out, we're gonna talk about a certain type of encounter because you can use this for everything. So we're gonna simplify this, and what we're gonna talk about is your basic dungeon run. You got your little monsters, you got your mini boss, and then you got your boss. For the boss, the way we're gonna do it, and you don't have to do it necessarily this way, you take the amount that you have, the 800, and you kind of quarter that. Your total amount is 200. According to the official system, that would be the 200 on the total XP section, which is a 1/2 CR monster. You would buy a monster from the total XP list, and that is its CR. And the CR is the challenge rating of the monster, which is different from the challenge rating of the total game. Each monster has its own set of CR to determine how hard it is. Think of this basic principle. You've got this amount, and you spend an amount on various monsters, each worth its CR value in total XP. A cool little trick you can do is you can group various amounts of monsters. You can, as long as they all have the same CR value, I believe. So there's 1 goblin and 2 other things, all right? Well, instead of being their CR 1/3 value, times 3, you then go to the chart and it says 3 creatures, which is CR plus 3. When you're talking about minusing 1 CR, so you start at a CR 3 and you minus that you get 2 and you minus that you get 1. When you minus 1 CR from 1, you do not get 0. You go down 1 step to 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/6, 1/8. If you have a CR 1/3 monster and you go to the list, you got 3 of them, it's 3 creatures, CR plus 3. You go to the CR 1/3 and you go up 3 steps. 1/2, 1, 2. And so now it becomes, all those group becomes a CR 2, which costs 600.
No, you just...
Well, I'll just lean forward.
Wait.
We're so excited to talk to you all.
Well, I like sitting forward, that's, alright.
I do too, actually.
If you're trying to make a point, sure.
Well, that's my point. I come...
Well, that is.
Well, yeah, we're trying to make a blow. We just went and used the 800 and tried to build an encounter with this system. The boss we ended up getting was a null, and that will be CR 1. And so that leaves us with 400 to spend. We spent 200 of that on your mini boss, your hobgoblin. And then again, we wanted some cannon fodder enemies, and we had 2 1/4 creatures, which jump us up to another 200, and that gives us our 2 kobolds. So ultimately, 3 level 3 players will be facing 2 kobolds, a hobgoblin, and a null. But there are things that adjust the CR value for terrain. If the terrain is favorable to the kobolds, the CR goes up, which may give you a little bit more to spend. If the CR is favorable to you, it goes down. So hopefully what you can do is you can make the terrain favorable to the kobolds. Maybe they know places to hide, which is pretty cool.
It's over, Anakin. I've got the high ground.
Yeah, exactly. I never noticed that. That's amazing.
I have the high ground. Well, he learned his lesson.
I'm gonna jump over your
you
high
learned his
ground.
lesson.
I learned his
Never
lesson.
fuck with Obi-Wan, like ever.
Wait a minute.
That's the moral of the story.
Until he's old.
We end it with that. So out of today's lesson of D&D Workshop, we've learned one thing.
Don't fuck with
Obi-Wan
Kenobi. I hope you learned that. So we're going to talk about an accidental system because we misinterpreted the rules, and I actually like it a lot better. Our system, same thing, APL, get the CR, monsters have CR, it's all the same until we get to table 12 to experience points awards. You get your level 3, 800, but instead of assuming the monster CR, his CR of whatever, is not worth the total XP. Ignore that list. Instead of think of that row, whatever, column, as just your experience to spend for the thing. You now go, how many players are in your group? We said 3 level 3s, so we go to the 1 through 3 section, and we find the same monster, which was a null, that was worth 400?
Yeah, and it was a CR1.
Now, it's only worth 135. So all of a sudden, well yeah, he's not your boss anymore.
He's just a foot soldier.
You can start to have these kind of mid-range enemies and a lot more of them. Especially if you give them favorable terrain, then your CR goes up from the 800 up 1, and now you've got 1,200 to spend, and now you've got even more enemies you can stack on there. Which is much more fitting of 3 level 3 players.
I'm cool with tight spaces.
Putting on the Ritz.
So what we're going to talk about.
This system, the boss that we had was a bugbear, and the boss from the last system is now our mini-boss, Null. We have 4 kobolds, 3 goblins, and 2 pitfall traps weak. Now, for the amazingness that I love these traps, remember traps have CR, so we put them in like 2 monsters. This is the description for the pitfall trap weaker. I don't know, it's like
weaker.
And their description is, this pitfall trap is not intended to harm its victim. There are a host of hidden pitfall traps scattered throughout the room, or wherever we're in. To lessen the danger, a mound of pillows has been placed at the bottom of each pit to cushion the fall to anyone who gets caught in one. It is a nice pit where you go and watch films and have a good time. The kobolds are throwing you a party.
So they just figured, like, well, we have these weak pits. I don't know. They seem a little harsh. Let's make a pillow pit.
Yeah.
Just to say, hey, there's pits in this game.
I feel like the goblins were like, alright, we get this pit and we put some spikes in it and the adventurers will die.
So
I don't want to harm them. That's
I don't-
cruel.
Michael, if
Old
it's a
Joe
cold
fell.
birthday party, if you hit it in the head, does it poof in confetti?
So we lost the entire second half of this episode, so we're reshooting, which is why we have different camera angles, sets, and I'm sure clothes. Hopefully we covered so far the 3 different methods that you can use CR, and now we can talk about some real world examples, some actual uses of this so they're not just pure numbers.
So I was going to talk about the encounter I'm building for the campaign that I'm going to start in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have you guys start out in a city, and it's going to be a polarized city between 2 factions, and I kind of want to get you guys somehow to meet up by this mob or something. Like, we support this person from 2 rival houses, and you guys somehow get caught in the middle.
Okay.
Like, which side do you support? That side. Well, we're gonna kick your ass. Or I support no sides. Well, we're both gonna kick.
This is a good point to bring up. Sometimes when I'll write CR, I'll write a maximum amount and then just the standard you may get from CR. So it's like the maximum is CR plus ad hoc experience plus bonus monsters plus...
What's ad hoc?
Ad hoc experience is anything additional, whether it's an additional objective like save this guy or an additional monster. And I remember in a recent thing we had to do, there was an ad hoc, I had this guy being chased by some wolf thing, or the goblin dog, and the ad hoc experience was save him, and you guys just let him die, so you didn't get the experience.
I remember I was really hoping that he was gonna fight along with us pretty well, but you know, being a low-level druid and all this, it's like you don't have much offense at all. So
You're just like, no.
So I was like, well, I hope this guy can hold his own, and then he gets slaughtered. I'm like, oh.
That was awesome, because it was mostly like he was supposed to die in like 5 rounds, but I was like, okay, I'll drag it up to 10, 15.
Come on, guys.
20. Oh, you know what? No, he's dead. He's dead. You guys don't get it. That's it. I gave you too many chances. Every turn, I'm like, roll perception. You hear, oh! No one? No one's responding?
No.
Okay.
I was too busy doing my own thing.
Yeah. Alright, Jesus.
He can just, you know, come back.
So for yours, I might account for the maximum of 2 factions, and if they only do half or this half, then it doesn't matter. But you can also, what I might do, if you're in a city, maybe they only take on this half, but more reinforcements come in.
Yeah.
So then you can sort of cheat the numbers.
Waves of like 16 people with level 1. Yay!
Wave wave my own men at them.
They're cannon fodder. You can kill some of them off. You can artificially inflate the numbers, just have them fighting against other NPC dudes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
You don't even roll it, you just know that this guy's gonna die next turn or this dude's gonna whatever.
They see a bunch of people on the board, they're happy. You're fighting like really like 2 guys.
Yeah.
The city guards get involved and it was like a 3-way, 4-way.
In all honesty, you could fight every single person there.
Well, then
he's the level 1 fighter, human fighter with cleave. I'd be like, ah!
Everyone.
just slice through everyone. Yeah!
Well, hopefully you have several ideas, if nothing else, on how to use these systems in CR. You don't have to use these systems, you can make your own, but hopefully these will guide you on a place where you can actually functionally make your encounter without killing your players or making it too easy so they just wipe the floor with them. Don't be afraid to modify the CR on the fly. If it somehow turns out too easy, don't be afraid to add people. If it turns out too hard, don't be afraid to cut health in half or lessen it. Just, it's only guidelines. They're not hard rules. But next week, we should be covering open field combat. So not just dungeons, not just basic stuff, but how to use CR and strategy to plan out just a blank kind of forest area, open field. And that should give you some interesting ideas on how to deal with that.
It's Andrew, and here's Michael.
There you go.
See you next week. That's our outro.
Make a human, give him Furious Focus, so then he takes no minuses to hit.
I don't think this encounter was designed for Min-Max the fighter, okay?
Wait, there's a thing for that?
Yeah, Furious Focus. The first attack you make, you don't subtract the penalties from power attack.
Yeah.
There's like no downside to ever using that.
That's what Boodle had, wasn't it?
Yeah, you were just like...
Okay. I need a moment because
Chris just jizzed in his pants.
That's how I felt.
Sorry, I play human fighters a lot and I didn't know that, so...
The only prerequisite is having power attack. There's like...
The only prerequisite is the thing that it cheats for.
Yeah.